Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for college football. Week 10, very popular show. As always, Brent from BetDSI, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, gives us a glimpse into some of the notable betting action that he's taken over the past week for the upcoming card. Brent, thanks for being back with us.
And thanks for having me on again, Peter.
All right, the first thing I want to ask you before we get to the games is just, last week you told me that you took sharp action on Mississippi State minus 13.5, Kentucky plus 14.5, and of course it fell. So I'm assuming that all the action you took on that game, basically you paid. I mean, I'm sure there was a little bit of public action that took, Kentucky at plus 13.5 or whatever, but how bad is it when something that gets two-way sharp action lands and you get middled?
Well, the worst part is when you ask about it then the following week. It's like salt in the wound. And I went through the college football from last Saturday, and the sharp stuff we tipped off was 5-2. NFL was I think it was 3-2. So we're looking at 8-4 for the weekend if you followed our stuff and got the right numbers. And you want to talk about the game where we got middled on?
Yeah, that's what people want to listen to. People love to hear about when the books get screwed, whether it's on teasers or whatever.
It's like a car crash. Everyone wants to slow down and see what happened.
Listen, I know what the viewers want, and when you get middled by sharp action on a game like that, that's what they want to hear about,
Yeah, it wasn't the best, the best game for us for sure. We did have a very good weekend, though. I mean, we had a lot of games that went our way, so we obviously did all right for the game. And on a college football day, I mean, just one game's just not gonna kill us at all. I mean, the Tennessee covering was very good for us. Penn State covering for us was very good for us. So I'm going to talk about the positive things like that as opposed to the negative that you focus on. But yeah, I mean, that was one of those games where we were getting a lot of action both ways. We had public action on Mississippi State. We had sharp guys going both ways on it. So we kind of did get drowned out a bit. We ended up closing 14.5. So I mean, not everything pushed. Obviously, we made a little bit, but yeah, I mean, anytime it lands, it's never a good thing, and then probably worse in NFL if it lands on a 3 or something like that, and we were under and over the 3. We're working 2.5 and 3 now. That would be a real bad situation. But the good thing for us is, like with college football, you just never take the same volume that you do on the NFL, and obviously you can easily recover from it.
All right, Brent, let's talk about some of the individual games from college football. Week 10, the first one, the most interesting team in college football this year, TCU, right? Unbelievable. They're like, when you expect them to maybe not do so well, they cover by even more than they've been covering, in previous weeks, and each week is a surprise. And this week, they're a favorite. They opened at just like 5.5 against West Virginia, and the line's gotten bet down. So there's no way that was public action, right? That had to have been sharp action on West Virginia, right?
Yeah, you're right. There's no way that was that was public action. I mean, our count does favor TCU, of course, so the public is all over them as well. But yeah, the line did drop. The sharp action I got on West Virginia came early when the line was 5.5. So I mean that's kind of gone. But it was only one sharp guy who played it plus 5.5. So like when we do these calls and I try and look for like a team that a side that's really really sharp, I look for a couple guys, maybe 3 guys all on the same side. Then we know it's how strong the play is.
Right.
But yes, one of our sharps did come on the plus 5.5. Our count does favor TCU, which suggests the public is on TCU. Our money does favor West Virginia, more money on West Virginia. So the big bets with the sharp guys are on West Virginia for sure. We're down to 4 right now, dog 15. They took plus 5.5, and the total as well. We took under money on this total.
Yeah.
This is another one thing too, where I mean, I look at a team like TCU, I'm just like, it's kind of scary going under the total, but I did have sharp action under 73.5. Now again, we're sitting at 70 right now, so it's kind of dropped down quite a bit. We're basically trading action back and forth at 70, so it should stay around there. But sharp action was on the plus 5.5 with the home team West Virginia, and also on the under 73.5.
And then Auburn, Ole Miss, I want to ask you about, 2 top 5 teams here. The Auburn line has gone down slightly to plus 1.5. That's a little bit surprising. I would have guessed that maybe the sharps would stay off this and that the public would be split and that the line would have stayed at 3. But no, the line has moved in Auburn's favor. What drove that action?
That's just bigger bets and public action. Nothing really sharp either way on this game. I do have my counts. Probably it's exactly 2-1 in favor of Auburn. My money is the exact same ratio, 2-1 favoring Auburn. So that's why that's dropped down a bit. I do have money on the over, which I would call sharp. The over 50 they came in. We're sitting at 51 right now. I've got a little bit of money back on the under there at 51, so that might kind of hold true as well. But yeah, the money that did come in earlier on Auburn was mostly public action. Like I said, the count's about 2-1, the money's about 2-1, but sharps are not involved at this point, Peter.
All right, nice. So this is a classic example then of a line movement that someone might look at from the outside and say, was that due to sharp action? The answer is no. It was just due to public favoring aside, and that is enough to create a line movement like that. So, if you beat that.
Yeah, again, I mean, you take a bet. I mean, you basically have, especially when you're talking about opening numbers, you take,
Right.
You take a limit bet, you move the line, you see what happens, they bet it again while you move it again. When they start coming in on the other side, then you kind of start finding a way in terms of what your closing number might be.
And then the next thing I want to ask about Arkansas, Mississippi State. Mississippi State, for a number one ranked team, multiple weeks in a row, their lines and their line movements don't really look like what you usually expect from a number one ranked team. They were only an 11-point home favorite on the opener against Arkansas, and that line got bet down. So I'm wondering what caused that movement.
It's a good question.
Sharp action.
We took some bigger action, you want to call it, on Arkansas, but not necessarily sharp action. We had respectable money come in the other way. As soon as it dropped down to 10, I had some decent money come in on Mississippi State. So I don't know. It's just a feeling that this line is going to probably pop up again. I do have a count of about 2-1 in favor of Mississippi State, so that kind of suggests the public's going to back Mississippi State. And even though we took a big bet the other way on Arkansas, I think it's probably right now the sharps really aren't involved in this game, so I'm thinking the public money might drive this line back up. If it goes up and the sharps do come in, I couldn't tell you right now what side they're going to go on. Like I said, we got a nibble when it was down to 10 from a sharp guy, but it wasn't like a real strong play. So minus 10, they came back, so we went back up to the 10.5. We took the big bet at 11.5. So we're just I think this line is still kind of finding its way, Peter.
Okay, and then I want to ask about Stanford, Oregon. Each year this matchup is always interesting from a betting perspective. The line usually moves, and in past years, one of those games where the sharps would tend to come in on Stanford. This year the line has moved. It opened at 11 at some places, and then it was like 10, 9.5. Now it's all the way down to Oregon minus 8. This year a little bit different because both Stanford and Oregon aren't quite the same teams that we've seen in years past. But did the sharps come in on Stanford again?
Did you come in on Stanford, Peter?
Me? No, not at all. But in past years I did, though. See, that's why I'm wondering.
Well, the fact that you didn't come in suggests that Stanford is a strong play. I do have, honestly, I do have, well, honestly, no, I wouldn't take a shot.
I
like
set
that,
myself up once
have,
again, Brent. Yeah, you bashed it out of the park once again.
The thing is, I've got, again, like I said before, I look for a couple, 2-3 sharps on the same side, then I suggest kind of how strong the play is. This is a case where with Stanford, I have one guy plus 11, another guy coming in plus 10.5, and another guy plus 9 is why we're sitting at 8 right now.
Right.
Those 3 bets on the plus for Stanford, those are all really sharp guys who we really respect a lot. Now, the other thing too, which you add to the bundle here, is that my count on Oregon is about 3-1, and my money favors Stanford. So I've got a lot of public money on Oregon, and I got a lot of sharp guys on Stanford. So Stanford plus 10, 11. 10.5 and 9 was all sharp, Peter.
Okay, another classic sharp public split, Stanford, Oregon, to go along with TCU, West Virginia. All right, that's all I want to make sure we got to. Another interesting card, Brent. What can you tell us? Notable action from the rest of the Week 10 college football card.
What would it take for me to put you into an Appalachian State bet, Peter?
Not much.
It's crazy. No, they're at home to Georgia State, and it's just one of those games that, like I said, I mean, sharps don't care. You could put a number up of you and I playing squash or something, Peter.
Sure.
If the sharps find value in it, they'll bet it. So App State minus 7.5, sharp action, all the way up to 9.5, sharp action on App State, 10.5. Still sharp action there. We're sitting Appalachian State minus 13, minus 15. So I got 3 different guys all laying the number on Appalachian State, which kind of just, not a game you expect to have heavy action on, but we had real big action on Appalachian State. Again, we're sitting at 13 right now. They're at home to Georgia State. Just definitely one-sided here. We're gonna need Georgia State. Hopefully this line doesn't go up so we don't get middle of it all, but we set ourselves up. I mean, 9, 10, all that stuff would be bad right now, sitting at 13. So hopefully we'll get something back there. I want to go on to the Duke-Pitt total. I've got sharp action there on the under 51. That was Duke at Pitt sharp. They were sitting at Pitt's like minus 3.5 and 49.5, but definitely sharp action on the under there. Florida is another one. Florida is at Georgia. Right now we're sitting at 10.5 with Georgia minus 10.5. Sharp action came in from a couple guys on Florida plus 13.5 and plus 12.5. We touched on Stanford. Florida International, another one of those marquee games, plus 8 sharp money, 7.5 sharp money, plus 7 minus 0.5, all sharp action. We're sitting at 7 flat right now. We'll probably end up going 7, maybe dog 15 or something like that, trying to, if we need to get anything back. But I got 3 sharp guys on Florida International. Oregon State, another one. We got getting killed on these games this week, Peter. We're sitting Oregon State minus 1 sharp, 2.5 sharp, 3 sharp. We're already up to minus 4, minus 15. And UCLA, I got a couple of guys on UCLA as well, minus 4, minus 4.5. We're all the way up to 6.5 now. And finally is Tennessee, +7.5 and +7 -15, both sharp.
Sharps firing away in college football week 10, and Brent from BetDSI very generously sharing the information with us. Thanks so much, Brent. Talk to you next week.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.